literature review to identify research questions in health sciences education research, sources of ideas, purpose and use, statement of purpose and research questions, and hypotheses. I'm Ken Kaur, and this is another lesson in a series on health science education research. Sources of ideas. Deciding what to study can be informed by many sources, but it usually starts with something you're interested in, something from your experience within your educational or professional practice. Once you've found something you're interested in studying, you need to consult the literature to figure out what you can study more specifically. Most likely, the problem has already been somewhat researched. You might find that your questions have been studied already, but not in your very particular context. Therefore, your literature review builds the rationale that your study is justified as an extension of the generalizability of the previous research. Or your review might reveal that the phenomena you're interested in exploring has never been explored in the way that you think it needs to be. You may also find that there are conflicting results about whether there is a relationship at all with respect to concepts that you're interested in studying. Or maybe the research that's been done about your identified problem has design flaws that leave the door open for alternative explanations or emerging concepts that have yet to be incorporated into studies more fully. As you begin to develop some of your first research proposals, you'll likely rely mostly on primary literature, and the reasons for conducting your research will likely be due to the need for either replication, extension, generalizability, improving on study design, or addressing conflicting results. Generating new theory would be a more advanced reason to conduct research. The purpose of the literature review is to describe the current state of understanding of a topic in relation to a problem of interest in order to create a rationale for a research question. You can think of the literature review for a research proposal as an extended background section of most published articles you may have read. It is most similar to the concept of a scoping review, but is not a systematic review. Systematic reviews or meta-analyses are a method used to answer a very specific research question about the current state of the published literature on a particular phenomena or relationship of interest. The literature review of a research proposal can be used to justify the need for a systematic review, but it's not the systematic review itself. It's also important to note that the literature review for a research proposal can and does often include critical reviews of individual studies, especially when you're building toward the rationale for doing your study to improve on a study design. The first part of a research proposal is the literature review. It builds towards the identification of a specific research question and then ultimately hypotheses in the case of quantitative research. As a part of the literature review, which once again is a part of your research proposal, you'll conclude with a purpose statement. Purpose statements give a concise description of the intent of the study. For example, is it to replicate, extend, generalize, improve, explain, explore, develop, whatever it might be. I've provided a few examples here that you can pause the video to take a minute to read. Research questions flow from purpose statements. These examples connect directly back to the previous examples. The research question for quantitative research should indicate a target population. For example, pharmacy students, surgery residents, nursing students in undergraduate programs in Canada, speech-language pathologist students, etc. They should also name the concepts that will be studied. For example, motivation, confidence, ability, communication skill, cultural knowledge. And lastly, they should generally point toward the methods that will be needed to answer the question. Research questions for qualitative research may not indicate a target population. They might, but they may not. But they will definitely specify the phenomena that is going to be studied. Take a moment, pause, and read some of these examples. Outside of purely descriptive quantitative research, a literature review to support research questions for quantitative research will also build toward the development of hypotheses. These flow directly from the research question and should be even more specific about the expectations you have for your study. Just like a research question, but more directly, the hypothesis sets up the study design and the methods. I've provided a couple examples here, and I've highlighted the different chunks that represent important separate parts of the hypothesis. So you'll see indications of what is being measured, the concepts being studied, predictions about how they relate to one another, information about the target population involved. So it would be good to just take a minute and read these as well.